Alrighty, so today is a bit of a recovery day for me because for the past couple of days I've been suffering a flu, and I think today is a perfect day for me to kind of have a recovery day, kind of stay at home and basically make up for some of the reviews that I would have done if I wasn't having a flu a couple of days ago, and that today I will basically do a combine of the 2 days that I of course wasn't able to do a review back on Tuesday and also on Monday, and then later on I'll also watch the games that I missed earlier this morning and basically do a review of today's game a little bit later tonight. Now, one thing that I have seen throughout this World Cup, and one thing I like, is the fact that we've been having a variety of type of games in these World Cup group stage match. We've seen some games that have turned out to be blowout. We've seen some big upset in the World Cup, and we also seen some of these nil-nil draw where some of them were kind of exciting, but some of them were kind of a little bit boring, and a kind of one that if you like defense and kind of tactical kind of mindset that ends up to be a stalemate, then those are kind of the game to watch. But one of the other thing that I think has been a key point in this World Cup is the amount of stoppage time that is, because I know that FIFA has been emphasized in terms of adding more stoppages because of whether it is goal celebration or injuries, but I think might have gone a little bit overkill throughout these games, because it feels like every games are like 100-minute slog fest. And the first one we're going to talk about between England and Iran, oh boy, I mean, this was probably the longest game without going to extra time I've ever seen in my life, because in terms of the total stoppage in this one, there was like something like 27 minutes total of stoppage time. There was almost 2 hours of game time in this game. Now, it is kind of justified because we did have a very long stoppage in the first half because of a head injury to one of the Iran goalkeeper, and then in the second half, we saw a head injury with Harry Maguire, and that took a while to get it clear. But again, yeah, I just feel like, especially with the way that this game, by the second half, turns out to be a blowout. There was really no need for them to add like 9 minutes of stoppage time. Like, the game was already done and dusted. There's no need to add more stoppage, even if there maybe it is some stoppage in some of these games. But alas, it turns out that, of course, turns out to be the case, and that again, for someone that is already trying to catch up in terms of these World Cup action, it's not great, the fact that I have to kind of sit through extra long of these games because of how a lot of these games turns out to be 100+ minutes slog fest, and this one was an extreme level. Though, that being said, in the first half, there was a shout for a penalty for England as Maguire thought that he was brought down by Chesney, and I feel like that should have been a penalty. I mean, and as we'll get to later on, where there was also another penalty kick that was similar that was given to Iran. This one should have been a penalty because you can definitely see Chesney brought down Maguire in the box. And controversial call is going to be a theme in this review too, because we definitely have a lot of controversial call throughout this World Cup right now. And like what I said in the US versus Wales game, it feels like the refereeing that I've seen in this World Cup is making MLS and Pro look like something world class, because the referee, let's just say, has been questionable at best, and especially in some of these games where either referee make the wrong decision, giving a penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty, or vice versa, or VAR basically screw things over. And I thought that was one that England kind of got screwed over early on, and they should have got a penalty just 2 minutes in. Though, that being said, as expected, Iran was in full bunker mode, and possession was like almost 80% in favor of England. Maguire then hits the side netting in the back post. I thought Harry Maguire was play a good game, and probably the best game that he's played with England in a very long time, because as I mentioned, coming into this tournament, Harry Maguire was basically a meme. Talk about how he's been a really bad defender, but the way that I saw him play, it feels like he's back in his 2018 World Cup form, which is great news if you're England. But in the 9th minute, this is where we had this long delay where the Iranian goalkeeper they took a nasty knock to the head. And also, apologies if I mispronounce some of these names, and this is going to be the case throughout this World Cup. I'm definitely going to be mispronouncing some of these names. As you know, I'm not the best in terms of pronunciation, in terms of some of these players' names, but yeah, he was down for a very long time. I think he kind of had a broken nose, and what shockingly was the fact that he actually stayed on for about 2 minutes. And this is where I think FIFA is going to try to learn their lesson in the early part of the World Cup. And we had this discussion about head injuries and concussion, and that this is definitely not a great way for FIFA to show that they really care about concussion, because there was no way in the world he should be continue after this. Like, you can clearly see he was suffering a concussion, and the fact that he continued for 2 minutes and was not looking right. I mean, that shouldn't have happened, and especially with the way that FIFA has introduced the concussion substitution in this World Cup. There's just no excuse for Iran and whoever was in charge of the concussion protocol to continue to let this player go through. But thankfully, they did the right thing just 2 minutes later, as he was subbed off by Husseini in the 20th minute. But like I said, throughout that 11 minutes or so, there was basically no action besides the trainers, and also whoever was in charge of the concussion protocol throughout the game was taking a look at the Iranian goalkeeper. Though in the 27th minute, Saka would hit one right to Husseini, and that was a big save for Husseini, because it's not easy for a goalkeeper who was not expected to play in this World Cup, and all of a sudden he stepped in straight away like that. But you know, he does a good job there to make his first save. Mount then hits one into the side netting from a tight angle, and I thought the pressure was starting to piled up for England. Like, you know, England was really pressing for that first goal, and again, it's very important for England, the fact that if they can get one goal against Iran, we know that they could have a chance to maybe score a couple more, because the philosophy of Iran is this kind of bend but don't break kind of defense, where if you frustrate your opposition throughout the entire game and not let up a goal, then there's a chance that they can get a 0-0 draw or even a 1-0 win. And we kind of saw a lot of that throughout that 2018 World Cup. But it turns out that 0-0 draw that maybe even some people predicted that this was going to be the case was not meant to be, because after Maguire struck the post on a free header in the 32nd minute, in the 35th minute, England finally break through. It's Jude Bellingham scoring from Luke Shaw to give England a 1-0 lead. Not long after, Bukayo Saka would score from Maguire and Shaw to make it 2-0 in favor of England. And then Raheem Sterling joins the goal scoring party in the first minute of stoppage time, as he scored from Kane to make it 3-0 in favor of England. And the floodgates was just blown open in this one. And Iran, defensive resistance that we usually shown to be at its best, it was nowhere to be found. Like, as soon as England started to really find some space on the attack, like, it feels like the entire Iranian defense just kind of gave up at that point, and that was kind of the case for the rest of the game. Though that being said, they did have their first shot in the 11th minute of stoppage time, as Jahan Bash would blast it high on the volley, and we had to halftime with England leading 3-0. And up to this point, I kind of stopped paying attention to this one, because I knew England was going to win this one. But it's just, how much are they going to win? And exactly, you know, if you're Iran, this is where the big decision you got to make. Do you decide to maybe commit forward to maybe make the goal difference a little bit better? Because I feel like throughout this tournament, goal difference has been a really big talking point of the fact that, you know, if you lose your opening game, you got to make sure you don't lose ugly. Because if you lose ugly, then yeah, that pretty much not only gets a huge mountain to climb for the rest of the tournament, but that could come back to bite you if the tiebreaker does come in the third game of the group stage. But in the second half, again, you know, I didn't really pay too much attention, because I feel like it was going to be a training session. Like, England was knocking the ball around. Iran was clearly in damage limitation mode. It did not work, because in the 62nd minute, Saka would score his second goal here from Sterling and Shaw to make it 4-0 in favor of England. It's the fourth time that England scored 4 in the World Cup. Keep in mind, they scored 6 last World Cup against Panama, en route to a 6-1 victory, and they came close in terms of repeating that same feat. Though in the 65th minute, Iran did get one back, as their main goal scorer, Taremi, would get on the score sheet from Golazadeh and Maharini to give Iran at least something to cheer about. Certainly for the Iranian fans, who I thought they really made a lot of noise throughout this one. And again, I even said it that they made a lot of noise by seeing their team down 4-1. A lot of that has to do with the previous chance when their player Norlani they almost made it 4-2, but he puts it wide. But nevertheless, in the 71st minute, England would restore that 4-goal lead. It's Rashford scoring from Kane and Pickford to give England a 5-1 lead. That literally came 20 seconds after Rashford was bought into the game. That must be a record for the fastest goal a substitute have scored coming off the bench in the World Cup. And that was just kind of just a route one ball. And I talked about this Iranian defense pretty much just completely gave up. I mean, that was just some high school level defending there from from Iran. Although I wouldn't even say high school defense. I think that would be maybe just kind of being too harsh in terms of high school defending. That was just really bad defending in an Iran standpoint. And it gets worse for them because in the 89th minute, Jack Grealish would join the goal scoring party as he scored from Wilson and Bellingham to make it 6-1 in favor of England. Pickford then denied Osman as he pushed that one onto the post. But then in the 10th minute of stoppage time, a penalty was given to Iran as VAR deemed that Stone brought down Pulangaji in the box. And again, this one looked very similar to the one where we saw when Chesney brought down Maguire in the box. And again, inconsistency with refereeing calls has been a problem in this World Cup. And again, when I do a video talk about some of the key points that I've seen so far in this World Cup, that is definitely going to be one thing that I'm going to highlight. And that's one thing that I am a little bit concerned once we get into the knockout round. But nevertheless, the penalty was given, and Taremi, of course, steps up to give Iran another consolation goal. But in the end, it was England. They were by far the better team in every ways, and they won 6-2 in this game against Iran. And the shots in this one, 13 shots for the 8 that Iran has, 7 shots on goal for the 3 that Iran has, 4 shots off target for the 2 that England has, 4 shots that was blocked for the 1 that Iran has. And possession-wise, England, not surprisingly, dominate the possession. 78% possession compared to just 22% possession that Iran has in this game. And we'll see whether if this is maybe just England kind of just sending a message to the rest of the world that we're back in that 2018 World Cup form, and that we're ready to once again ignore all the pressure that the media has portrayed that we're not going to do well and go on a deep run, or the fact that it's just because the fact that they play against the Iranian side that again they pretty much just gave up after they went 3-0 down after the first half. But that being said, moving on in the next match. We got Senegal versus the Netherlands, and I do have to feel bad for Senegal in this one because I thought they played very well in this one, but as it is kind of the case that I'll mention a lot throughout this World Cup, and certainly in my next review, when you don't take your opportunity, and that, I mean, I don't want to call Senegal was the underdog coming into this game because I mentioned they are probably the strongest team coming out of the African region. But when you don't take advantage of your opportunity, it's going to come back to bite you, and it bites Senegal badly in this one. But that being said, it was just also a combination of just bad finishing from Senegal, but also a Dutch goalkeeper by the name of Andreas Noper decided that he was going to have a World Cup debut of his dream in this one. But in the first minute, Dia would put it high off of a deflection after just a bad turnover from the Dutch. And again, I thought it was a promising start from Senegal. They were trying to get the early lead in this one. Sarr would blast it high from long range before Davy Blind would have the Dutch first opportunity, but he heads it wide there. De Jong then was clean on goal there, but he just could not keep his composure there and just couldn't get his shot off. I mean, De Jong, he's been having a really tough time with Barcelona, and that I think that kind of moment just kind of sums up his last year or so with Barcelona, where he's been kind of being almost in an exile kind of mode, where he's still kind of playing with Barcelona, but he's been getting a lot of hatred to a point where a lot of Barcelona fans are demanding him to leave the team. But that being said, I thought the Dutch did woke up after they got off to a slow start in this game and was pressing for the opener. Van Dijk tried to do so, but he heads it wide from the corner before Berghuis would puts it just wide or just high on the volley in the 40th minute, and we head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams, despite the fact that there was some good opportunity for both of these teams. Now in the second half, Van Dijk would head it just high from the corner, and like the first half, there was some good half opportunity for both of these teams. But notice the fact that none of these goalkeepers have really been trouble. I haven't even mentioned either of these goalkeepers' name. Well, that was about to change, and this is where I would mention the Dutch debut goalkeeper Andreas Noper. Of course, you know, he wasn't expected to start in this one because he was a backup goalkeeper, but because of the main goalkeeper for the Netherlands wasn't available, here he is making his World Cup debut, and in his first action, he would deny Dia in the front post here before he denied Irisa Gana gave from close range. And you know, Senegal, I thought once again they were starting to create some chances, but this time they were really getting some grade A chances and was really making the young Dutch goalkeeper to make some big save. Well, actually, I wouldn't say young. Noper is actually not that young. He's actually now 30 years old, but you know, making his World Cup debut, that's something you definitely did not expect him to do, to have a huge impact in this one. But that being said, up to that point, I thought the Dutch was kind of on the ropes a bit because it was kind of a matter of time before Senegal would get the opening goal. Dean had a chance to do so, but he puts it high from 16 yards out. But instead, in the 84th minute, here's another young Dutch player that has been on everybody the scouting radar, as Cody Gakpo would score from De Jong to give the Netherlands a 1-0 lead. And you know, I talk about great goalkeeping from the Dutch, and especially from Andreas Noper making a World Cup debut dream. This was a World Cup nightmare debut for Edouard Mendy, and I think this is an example of why exactly he's not a regular starter anymore for Chelsea. Because yeah, this is one that, you know, yes, Gakpo does a great job to beat the goalkeeper to this header, but as a goalkeeper, you have to get to it. You always have to get there first, because if you don't get there first, yeah, it's not going to be a good look for you, and that was kind of the case for Mendy here. He just could not get there first. Gakpo beats him to there, and yeah, the Dutch were leading 1-0 in this one. It will be the last time that Mendy would make a mistake that led to a goal for the Netherlands, because after Noper once again comes up big by denying Irisa Gana gave from close range. In the 8th minute of stoppage time, the Dutch basically shut the door here, as Klaassen would make it 2-0 in favor of the Netherlands. But again, this was all because Mendy kind of gave up a juicy rebound. He didn't push this one far enough, where Klaassen was right there to get the rebound and puts it into the back of the net. And yeah, that of course made it 2-0, and that was the final score in this game, as the Netherlands take down Senegal in this one. And the shots in this one, 15 shots compared to 10 that the Dutch had, 3 shots on goal compared to 4 that Senegal has, 4 shots off target compared to 7 that Senegal has, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that the Dutch has. And the possession-wise, actually I wrote the possession wrong there. It's actually should be 53% possession compared to just 47% possession that Senegal has, because if you do the math there, that would be 101%, and that wouldn't make sense. But yeah, like I said, you know, this was really a game where, you know, one team were better in terms of their finishing, and one team wasn't, and the other goalkeeper decided to have a game, and that was kind of the case with Andreas Noper, who, again, you know, one of the other thing that we'll say is that he's been having an incredible story to get to this stage, and for those that don't know it, you should definitely check it out, because one of the key things about him coming into this, not only just being a backup goalkeeper coming into this World Cup for the Dutch, but he was actually thinking about quitting the game itself just 2 years ago. So from that to a point where he become a World Cup hero instantly, and even winning the Man of the Match award, I mean, that's what the World Cup is all about. It brings these kind of unsung hero kind of moments to it, and you always just love to see that. But that being said, moving on in terms of the next match, and speaking of unsung hero and also some surprising result, this is going to go down as probably the biggest upset in World Cup history. I mean, you know, I don't think, like, we knew that we were going to get upsets in this World Cup, but we didn't think Argentina versus Saudi Arabia is going to be it. And it didn't look like it in the first half too. Like, Argentina was cruising in the first half in this one, and that they kind of got a little bit unlucky with the offside flag, and also some very questionable refereeing decision and VAR decision in this game too. But in the first half, just 2 minutes into this game, Al-Ruisi would deny Messi from close range, and just like Nooper, Al-Ruisi was definitely a big hero for Saudi Arabia in this one. And it is expected, Saudi Arabia, they were in a low block in this one, and they was trying to frustrate Argentina, and just like Iran that was trying to do the same thing, it did not work, because in the 7 minutes of this game, a penalty was given to Argentina as VAR deemed that Paredes was brought down by Abdul Hamid in the box there, which Messi was able to put away the penalty to give Argentina a 1-0 lead. And you're just thinking, well, here we go. This is where Argentina is going to really pour it on, and we're going to see something like the England versus Iran kind of match, right? Well, in the 17th minute, Martinez would blast it high from long range, but the flag, of course, went up there. Papu Gomez then blasted high as the shots were like 4-0 in favor of Argentina. Like, it was just total domination by the Argentine up to that point. And it looked like they were up 2-0 in the 22nd minute when Messi puts it into the back of the net. But the problem is he was in an offside possession. And again, that's going to be something you're going to get use of me talking about throughout reviewing this game. Because in the 28th minute, Martinez would score here to look like he give Argentina the 2-0 lead, only for VAR decided to disallow this goal. Now, when you look at some of these offside that Argentina has, while there's a couple that is justified that it was clear offside, this was not one of them. And again, this is also where I'm going to once again kind of come a little bit I'm going to once again kind of scrutinize the way that how FIFA has introduced this technology to judge all offside, because again, I just feel like more technology introduced in this game, and especially in this World Cup, and just the more that I feel like it started becoming a little bit of a gimmick. Like we've seen some Premier League fans that have been very frustrated with the technology that the Premier League have used with the offside and the whole lines and stuff like that. And I'm kind of also glad that it wasn't implemented in MLS, because a lot of Premier League fans has been very frustrated with that. And now it seems like it's the same thing with here, where they have like a kind of direct camera, just kind of show why exactly that is offside. But again, I just don't think we should be using that to determine it, because when you also look on real play, it definitely does not look like Lautaro Martinez was in an offside position. And in fact, it looked like he was even on the play, and that whoever decided to kind of draw that conclusion using the new FIFA offside technology, I don't know if they maybe decide to edit to a way where they want to prove everybody it is right, because again, just looking at the naked eye like that, I just don't see how in the world that Martinez's leg was just a little bit offside than to the last Saudi Arabia defender. But that being said, the lead remains at 1-0, though in the 34th minute, Martinez would score again, but unfortunately the flag would came up for the third time. Now this time it was pretty justified, because Lautaro Martinez was pretty much at least about 5 yards offside. But up to that point, just kind of had a sense that Argentina was just snake bitten by the flag, and also a refereeing decision that goes against them, because they could have been easily 4-0 up against Saudi Arabia if they weren't caught offside all the time. DePaul then puts it high from long range in the 43rd minute, and you just kind of feel like Saudi Arabia just hanging on for dear life, because they know that they've been by far second best in this game. But if you can hang on to this 1-0 lead, anything can happen. And it turns out that turns out to be a huge thing to see in the second half, because as we head to halftime with Argentina only holding a 1-0 lead despite being by far the better team, that's when Saudi Arabia decided to shock the world. It started in the 48th minute when El Shaari would score from Al Brikin to give Saudi Arabia the equalizer. That was the first shot for Saudi Arabia for the entire game, and really the first time that they actually looked good going forward on the attacking end. And then not long later, Al Derazeri would score to make it 2-1 in favor of Saudi Arabia. And while that was a great goal from him, it was not great defending from Argentina, especially the way that they didn't clear their lines there, and that, just like that, in a blink of an eye, it's 2-1 in favor of Saudi Arabia, and it was just bedlam inside the Lusail iconic stadium. I mean, I mean, while there was a lot of Argentine jersey in that crowd, there was a lot of green and a lot of Saudi Arabian fans, and it makes sense because Qatar is basically bordering next to Saudi Arabia, so you're going to get a lot of support from the Saudi Arabian fan. But they were in full voice in this one. I mean, there was multiple time in the Fox commentators, which I forgot who exactly was commentating this one, but they mentioned how it was loud in this one, and I could believe it too because from what I'm listening in the crowd, or in the field mic that Fox basically produce. And usually Fox, I would say that they've always been kind of criticized in terms of not putting the volume up in the field mic, and I feel like maybe they're doing the same thing here. But even then, it was loud. Like you can even hear how the Saudi Arabian fans, they were in full voice. They were making their presence feel almost like a 12 man in this one. And in the 62nd minute, Argentina had a chance to equalize, but we see absolutely robbery here, robbing Tagliafico, who tried to redirect a shot that was coming in there. I mean, I have no idea how Aloisi was able to save that one there. And then Di Maria hits one right to Aloisi, and that, the pressure was definitely mounting for Saudi Arabia. Like Argentina, they were definitely throwing the kitchen sink because this would have been just an absolute embarrassment if they lose to Saudi Arabia. Messi then had a chance from 24 yards out, and there was definitely a lot of build-up in this free kick, but unfortunately it was very anticlimactic because he puts it way high from 24 yards out, and then he puts a weak header right to Aloisi in the 84th minute, and the crowd, besides the one that was wearing blue and white, they were trying to will Saudi Arabia to the finish line. Like up to this point, even the neutral were making some noise and were rooting for Saudi Arabia, because why not? Everybody loves an underdog story, and they have a chance to witness something that I don't think anyone would have imagined when this game began, which is a massive upset in World Cup history, seeing Argentina lose to a team that everybody thought that they were going to absolutely destroy. But in the 4th minute of stoppage time, there was an ugly collision between Al-Shiri and his own goalkeeper, and I think Al-Shiri actually got knocked out cold, and that fortunately this time they were able to get him off the pitch soon, because I was worried we're going to have a similar situation to the one we saw in the England versus Iran game where the head injury by the goalkeeper took like at least almost 15 minutes to get it done. But fortunately they were able to kind of stretch her off, and I think he did also give a thumbs up as he was stretched her off, so that's usually a good sign to see. But yeah, that was a really nasty injury, and that, keep in mind, there was already like 9 minutes of stoppage up to that point. We knew that we were going to get more. And in the 10th minute of stoppage time, Alvarez would hit one straight to Aloisi, and that was really the last chance that Argentina has, as Saudi Arabia, against all odds, pull up a stunning upset against Argentina in this one. And the shots in this one is something out of kind of like a FIFA Ultimate Team number. 15 shots compared to just 3 that Saudi Arabia has. 2 shots on goal compared to the 6 that Argentina has. No shots on target compared to the 6 that Argentina has. 1 shot that was blocked compared to the 3 that Argentina has. And possession-wise, 69% possession compared to 31% possession that Saudi Arabia has in this game. And this is kind of a game why I just love the sports of soccer, and why I love the World Cup time. Because, sometimes in the World Cup, expect the unexpectable, and this is something that I don't think anybody expected. It's something that, I would say that even in some of the bigger upsets I've seen before in World Cup, I wouldn't think that it would have matched what I saw in this one. Like, nobody saw this one coming, especially when Argentina took a 1-0 lead, and that, yeah, I mean this is definitely something that, for Saudi Arabia, they're going to definitely remember this day for a very long time. But for Argentina, wow, this is a huge, devastating blow for their start in terms of their chances to go all the way, because this was a team that I predicted in my bold prediction to win the World Cup. But the way that they play in this game, they definitely did not look like that team that could go all the way. And that, I think the only good news I will say for Argentina, and I maybe exaggerate it being a devastating blow, because the only good news coming out of this one is that, as I will talk about in a little bit later, Mexico and Poland wasn't able to get a win, so technically they're only still 1 point behind in the standings. But yeah, now that They know that in this game, I just kind of also feel like maybe Argentina kind of approached this game a little bit too overconfident, and that can happen sometimes when you are a team that is heavily favored when you face against an inferior opponent, and we've seen it before when you don't respect your opponent, and when you've been a little bit too cocky against a lesser opponent, it can come back to bite you. And I'm pretty sure Argentina is going to learn their lesson, because if they don't, this could be a huge shock if they don't make it out of this group, especially the fact that, for Messi, a lot of people have already been criticizing Messi for not showing up in this game, even though he of course did score the only goal for Argentina in this one. But that being said, moving on in terms of the next match, we got a first scoreless draw in the World Cup between Denmark versus Tunisia, though it definitely didn't look like it was going to end 0-0, because there was definitely some chances for both of these team here. And it kind of started early in this one. Well, actually, I wouldn't say it started early in this one, because I thought early on it was actually Tunisia the one that had the possession, and they were applying some good early pressure against this Denmark team. Keep in mind, Tunisia, they were the underdog in this one. And I think one of the things I've started to see a theme in this World Cup is that it feels like the underdog, they're not afraid to just kind of go for early on, and that maybe this is going to be something we're going to see in other games too, where these teams that maybe are inferior or considered the underdog, they're going to try to go for it so that they can get an early lead and have that belief that they can pull off the upset. And especially, I think, after what Tunisia saw in that game between Saudi Arabia versus Argentina, hey, why not be aggressive? Why not maybe press this Danish team and look to try to get the opening then go early on? Though it didn't quite work out, because besides Mascani heads it just wide there in the 11th minute, the shots were only 1-0 through 20 minutes in this one. I promise you there's going to be more chances in this game. On the 21st minute, Anderson had the first opportunity for Denmark, but he hits it right to Diamond before Højbjerg had a one-hopper right to Diamond in the 33rd minute, and then Laduni would puts it wide from close range in the 39th minute, and the shots were now 5-2 in favor of Tunisia, but both of the shots on target has been coming from the Dane there. There was a shout for a penalty for Denmark that was not given before Jabali went through on goal, and he was trying to chip it over Schmeichel. Schmeichel wasn't having any of it. He basically tipped that one away there. Scarreri then puts it wide from long range in the 43rd minute, and I thought Tunisia again, they would continue to put some good pressure, and they were looking to try to get the opener before the half. But we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now, in the second half, once again, Tunisia, I thought they come out as the stronger side, and it was another slow start for the Danish team out of the gate. And it feels like their fans kind of saw this, so they decided to up their support even more. I mean, up to this point, it was pretty clear that it was a home game for Tunisia. It was majority of the crowd there wearing the Tunisia jersey, and their supporter. We've seen some great supporters throughout this World Cup. I think Tunisia, along with Saudi Arabia, and as I mentioned with Mexico, they have probably some of the best supporters so far in the World Cup, because they were making a lot of noises, and they were definitely doing that in full voice, trying to will their team to try to get the opening goal. Though Dahlmann did deny Dolberg from close range in the 57th minute before Cornelius. Yeah, he basically had a Romel Kyoto moment here. He basically had a free header in the back post, 2 yards out, and he struck the post. There. I mean, that is one that he's going to be thinking about that throughout the entire time before Denmark play again, because that one, he's got to put that one away. Like, I don't care if he's a defender. When you're 2 yards out like that, you're wide open and the ball comes toward you, you cannot miss the target like that. So yeah, that was a huge miss for Denmark, and a huge left off the hook by the Tunisian. But then in the 71st minute, there was a huge shout for a penalty once again for Denmark. This time it was for a handball that was not given. Jensen then puts it wide from close range in the 76th minute, and really as the time winds down, I thought the pressure was starting to mount for Tunisia, because it feels like the Danish, they realize that they better win this one, because Tunisia is supposed to be the team out of this group, besides maybe Australia, that they need to, of course, get the win, and they started to press to trying to get at that opening goal. And I thought Tunisia, that backline, it started to become a very shaky, despite for the majority of this game it was rock solid. Dalman then denied Cornelius of what looked like it was kind of like a little shot cross. So Cornelius was trying to do a little random layout there, but Dalman was just alert there to palm that one away. Before there was looked like it was a penalty that was going to be given to Denmark, as it looked like to be actually handball that one, but they go to VAR to see whether if that's the case. It wasn't. That is actually the right call, because it was going to be very harsh to call that as a penalty, especially with be actually kind of tuck his hand. His hand was definitely not in an outstretched position when that ball hits his hand. And yeah, in the end, it ends in a scoreless draw in this one, as the shots in this one, 13 shots compared to 11 that Denmark has, 5 shots on goal compared to 1 that Tunisia has, 5 shots off target for the free that Denmark has, 7 shots that was blocked for the free that the Danes had, in possession-wise, 61% possession compared to the 39% possession that Tunisia has in this game. And there's no doubt Tunisia is going to be the more happier side in this one, because yeah, coming into this tournament, not a lot of people were banking that they were going to do a lot, and Denmark, again, a lot of people are picking them as the dark horse. And coming out of this game, I think there could still be a dark horse coming out, but they just need to be better in terms of their finishing. And again, they should have won this one, and that again with their defender Andreas Cornelius, he's definitely going to have nightmares until Denmark plays again about some of the missed chances, especially the one that he had in the 69th minute. But that being said, for pretty much the only time in this World Cup review, and I hope this is of course the case, I'm actually going to switch boards and look at the last 2 games that happened in terms of yesterday's action. So moving on, in the next game, we got Mexico versus Poland, that also ended in a scoreless draw. But unlike the game between Denmark and Tunisia, I mean, this was kind of a little bit anticlimactic with the way that, I think the only talking point out of this game is the Lewandowski penalty kick miss, and Memo Ochoa once again continued to show why he is basically the best goalkeeper, or at least arguably the best goalkeeper in the World Cup. I mean, it feels like every single World Cup, it's death, taxes, and Memo Ochoa basically comes up big for the Mexican national team, and he did it once again in this one. But in the first half, the Ole chant was definitely ringing out from the majority of Mexican fans in the stadium. And again, like I said, besides the Tunisia and Saudi Arabian fan, I thought the Mexican fans are some of the most passionate fans so far in this World Cup, because they were definitely in full voices, and that there was many times that they even mentioned that it feels like this game was at the Azteca rather than the fact that this game was at Stadium 974, that stadium that was built with just shipping container. But in the 7th minute, Lewandowski did had a header that took a deflection, but goes wide there. Lewandowski, he was kind of quiet in this one until he turns out to be in the headlines, but not in a good way, as I'll talk about in just a bit. Well, actually, I already mentioned it earlier. But in the 12th minute, Moreno would heads it wide from the corner before there was a shout for a penalty for Poland that was not given in the 21st minute. And again, it was a very scrappy game, and neither team was doing well going forward on the attacking end. That kind of what sums up how this game would play out. Though Vega did head it just wide from close in the 27th minute before I thought Szczesny got away with a big mistake there, as he came off his lines there. Didn't get the ball, but was bailed out because of a handball that was called on one of the Mexican player. And again, anytime when you're a goalkeeper and you come off his lines and you don't get the ball, you are basically caught in no man's land, and you could be in a moment that we will always known as a goalkeeper howler situation. Though, that being said, I thought Mexico was starting to establish themselves a little bit on the attack, and the Poles were trying to do the same thing too. But the problem is they weren't able to do it as successful, especially on the counterattack. And then I thought Mexico was doing a good job in terms of dealing with every time when Poland was trying to go on the counter. Szczesny then denied Sanchez from a tight angle in the 45th minute, and we head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, Lozano would hit one right to Szczesny. Again, Chucky Lozano, I didn't think he had a good game in this one too. Like, coming into the sermon, there was that big talking point with Mexico, with the way that they just don't really have that out and out number 9 in that goal scorer that we've seen in the past. that we have with this L3 team. I mean, this is also why there's that big discussion that if Chicharito was actually in this team, there's no doubt that this game would not have ended scoreless. And while Raul Jimenez came back into this one, keep in mind Jimenez, he's still just coming back from that nasty head injury that he suffered just two years ago, and you can see that he definitely wasn't 100% fit coming into this one, even off the substitute. But up to that point, the shots was 7-1 in favor of Mexico. But then a penalty was given to Poland as Marino brought down Lewandowski in the box. Oh, I think that was a good call, because you can clearly see Marino basically pull the jersey on Lewandowski there. And this was a big opportunity for Poland to get the opening goal, especially with Robert Lewandowski. He's pretty much a guarantee from the spot. You would think that he would put that one away, right? Well, no, because remember how I said Memo Ochoa, he always tends to step up big whenever the World Cup happens in Mexico, or whenever Mexico goes into the World Cup. He did it again here. He denied Lewandowski from the spot, and while it was a great save from Ochoa, it was not a great penalty from Lewandowski. I mean, it kind of feel like he hits it right to Ochoa there, and Ochoa just kind of not only guessed it right, but just kind of a comfortable save from it there. But then in the 60th minute, there was a huge shout for a penalty, this time for Mexico, as Alexis Vega thought that he was brought down in the box, but I think that was a good no call, because I don't think Vega really kind of did good enough there to try to sell that out. I mean, I'm pretty sure these Mexican players know that this is not the CONCACAF World Cup qualifier anymore. You can't just simply trying to maybe go down easily and expect the fact that you're going to get the call every time. Though I will say that in terms of the refereeing in this World Cup, and I talk about it has made pro kind of look genius. It's kind of almost around on par of the way that CONCACAF refereeing has been, with so many controversial decisions that has made. Though I will say that unlike CONCACAF kind of refereeing, where it feels like it's just basically just an absolute shit show at times, with referee not calling fouls and not giving out yellow cards. At least there has been more of that, and there has been some times where referee has done well in terms of controlling games that we don't see CONCACAF refereeing usually does. But at least in this play, it's a good example that you can't just simply fool a non-CONCACAF referee, so that you can, of course, win a penalty. But the Si Se Puede chant was definitely heard loud throughout the majority of Mexican fans, because I know the momentum was with them. And in the 63rd minute, they thought that they got the opening goal, but Szczesny with a big save here, robbing Martins, who tried to redirect the shot in there. And again, momentum was all with Mexico as they were trying to press for the opening goal, but Poland eventually did ride out the storm, but they were still stuck at just one shot throughout this entire game. Vega then blasted wide from close in the 80th minute before Kwiatkowski had a long-range effort that goes wide in the 6th minute, and then Antuna had an opportunity to get the late winner for Mexico, but he puts a weak shot straight to Szczesny. And in the end, it ends scoreless between both of these teams, and the shots of this one, 11 shots compared to 6 that Poland has, 4 shots on goal compared to 2 that Poland has, 4 shots off target compared to 3 that Poland has, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Poland has, and possession-wise, 61% possession compared to 39% possession that the Polish has in this one. And that, again, this feels like it was a big missed opportunity for both of these teams, especially after they saw the game between Saudi Arabia versus Argentina. Both of these teams, they're looking at that and as a big opportunity that if they can get a win now, they could definitely have a big opportunity to secure their chances of potentially making out to the knockout stage. But because they aren't able to take advantage of it, now I think that group is going to be very interesting. And in some way, if you're an Argentina fan, you are probably very happy and relieved the fact that this game ended in a scoreless draw, because if there was a winner in this one, then now all of a sudden Argentina could face a big mountain. But as it stands, that group is going to be very interesting because of the way that group is not what we were expecting now in terms of how the standings look after one day of play. But that being said, moving on into the last game of this review, we look at France versus Australia, and for 20 minutes it looked like we were in for another big upset, because Australia took a 1-0 lead. They were by far the better team against the French. But then the French remember that, yeah, they are the World Cup champion for a reason, and they also remember that they are looking to trying to end this nonsense of this World Cup curse that the defending champ will always stumble after the first block, and they pretty much cruise their way to a victory after they score two quick goals to turn this game on its head. But like I said early on, I thought Australia was the better team. McGree had an opportunity from long range that goes wide, and a lot of the reason why they were doing well early, the Socceroos, is because they had not only had some good position, but they were being aggressive against this French team, and that was led to a reward with them scoring in the 9th minute, as Craig Goodwin would score from Lecky to give Australia a 1-0 lead. And you can definitely sense that there was that headlines of, well, here we go again with the way that it seems like another World Cup champion is going to stumble and eventually not make it out of the knockout round, because that just seems like how it's been for the past couple of World Cup. And Australia again continued to be aggressive, and they were not electing to sit back. They were trying to keep possession, dictate plays, and try to get that second goal, because that a 1-0 lead is not going to be enough for Australia to beat the French, especially the French having a lot of good talent. I also thought that they also done well, at least for the first 20 minutes, shutting down Mbappe. They tried to double and even triple team him when he had the ball, because you gotta have to do that. If you don't do that with Mbappe, and if you try to do a 1v1 situation, you're gonna get absolutely burned every single time, because Mbappe is one of, if not the best one-on-one kind of players, or one of the best player in terms of those 1v1 situation. In the 21st minute, Duke would puts it just wide after just a WTF turnover from the French. But then in the 27th minute, Rabiot would score from Theo Hernandez to give the French the equalizer. And actually, it's not Theo Hernandez, it's Theo Hernandez there. But yeah, that of course ties the game at 1 apiece, and it was kind of really against the run of play, because up to that point I thought the Socceroos were by far the better team. Giroud then heads it wide from close range, and this is when Australia really started to have problems, especially dealing with its crosses. There was definitely some warning sign as the half goes along, where the French were finding some success in terms of playing behind this Australian back line, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Australians, they weren't really dealing with those crosses coming in, and also not stepping their lines, and as a result they conceded another goal in the 32nd minute. Though this time it was really because just a bad giveaway from Australia, which this ball turned right to Mbappe, who plays it into Rabiot, and then plays it into Giroud. And Olivier Giroud, after not scoring a single goal in the 2018 World Cup, he scored here to give the French a 2-1 lead. And you just kind of had a sense that was pretty much game, set, and match for the Socceroos, because the momentum has been completely turned to the world champion, and that it feels like it was kind of great for the Australians, at least, to have a bit of a surprise in the early bit of this game, because after this is when the French really started to try to get that third goal to kill this game off. And it started with Giroud trying to score his second goal of the game, but he blasted high from close range. Keep in mind, up to this point, Giroud was actually sitting coming into this game, he was sitting just 2 goals shy of some guy called Thierry Henry in terms of the all-time goal scorer list in France history. So you knew he was definitely hungry to try to at least get a tie up to that point. And after he scored a goal here, he was just within 1 to do so. Dembele then puts it high from long range in the 40th minute before Griezmann would blast it wide from long range in the 43rd minute. And again, it could have been 3 or 4-1 for the French if they were a little bit more clinical in front of goal. And this is also where maybe if you're a French fan, you maybe can be a little bit concerned the fact that we've seen before in this World Cup, where if you don't take advantage of your chances, then it can definitely come back to haunt you. And that after Mbappe missed an absolute sitter on the doorstep of goal, and you know he definitely want to have that one back because you don't usually see Mbappe miss a sitter as bad as he did in that chances. Jackson Irvine almost had a chance to equalize for Australia as he struck the post on the header, and Lloris, he was basically a spectator. Like, he was just praying the fact that that one goes wide there, and he is very fortunate the post came to his rescue. But yeah, if that one would have went in and this game would have been at 2-2 heading halftime, who knew how the second half would, or who knows how the second half is going to go. But instead, it remains at 2-1 in favor of France. And in the second half, Giroud tried to go for a spectacular goal there to tie Thierry Henry's record with a scissor kick attempt, but that one goes just wide. And again, France was in complete control, but you know, will these missed chances come back to haunt them? Because this one is still a one-goal game. As long as this is still a one-goal game, you basically give Australia belief that they can still have a chance to maybe get one opportunity to tie this game up at 2 apiece. Konate then puts it wide on the header from the corner, but then in the 67th minute, they finally got that killer third goal. And who else but Kylian Mbappe scoring from Dembele to give France a 3-1 lead. And then in the 72nd minute, history happened as Olivier Giroud tied Thierry Henry's record for the all-time goal-scoring list in France history, as he scored here from Mbappe to make it 4-1 in favor of France. And after that point, I kind of started to stop watching this one because I knew this game was done and dusted, and that turns out to be the final score of this game, as in the end, it was a dominant performance that France has, albeit it was kind of a shaky start to this game. And the shots in this one, 23 shots compared to 4 that Australia has, 1 shot on goal compared to 7 that the French has, 3 shots off target compared to 10 that France had, 6 shots that was blocked compared to 10 that Australia has, and possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that Australia has in this game. And yeah, you know, for Australia, they look good for the first 20 minutes. They had that belief, but you just kind of had it feeling those 2 goals that they gave up, it was just an absolute gut punch that they just never able to recover. And we'll see now with them giving up a lot of goals heading into these next couple rounds. I mean, the only good news is that they also saw Denmark and Tunisia got a draw, so they're still not out of it. But because of the fact that they gave up those 4 goals and that their goal differential is definitely not very good, they do have a bit of a steep mountain to climb, and that I don't know if it's going to be enough, because again, you know, they had that belief early on, but once that belief is over, then they pretty much just kind of crumble in the end, especially what we saw in the majority of the end of the first half, and also pretty much the entire part of the second half too. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of these 6 games that happened in terms of yesterday and also back on Monday's action. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these games? And like I said, later on tonight, I will do the review of the 4 games that happened today. I still need to watch the first three games of today's action, because I did watch the Belgium versus Canada game, but I need to watch the first 3 game again to basically do a full review of those 3 games, and also the game in between Belgium versus Canada that I was able to watch live. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.